Parents and educators using Singapore math. Have you ever wondered, does Singapore math actually make a difference? Many of the families and schools I work with are simply trusting the process or operating on faith. Because how often do we get to hear from someone who actually grew up with Singapore math in Singapore? Hi, I'm Wency. I went through 12 full years of math education in Singapore, and I'm now a PhD candidate in math education in the US. I'm the first generation of Singaporeans who were taught the famous Singapore math curriculum. And today, I wanted to share a few reflections on how Singapore math shaped the way I think. Not just about math, but about learning and problem solving. Before we begin, I want to say that I'm just one person. I'm not speaking for all Singaporeans, and even if I wanted to, I can't. Some experiences may be universal for Singaporeans, but there is a wide range in how our experiences are processed and what they mean to us. So, what I'm hoping to achieve in this video is to give you a glimpse of the possibilities of Singapore math's impact in the long run. Even though I have a math degree, I don't think like Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind. When I read a math problem, equations aren't the first things that appear in my mind. Instead, I see bar models. I see rectangles of different lengths, stacked, split, labeled. Even in algebra, say if we have the expression 2x plus 6y, I imagine two yellow boxes of the same size and six blue boxes of the same size. The colors are my own addition, but the bar modeling, that's definitely the result of my math education in Singapore. The habit of visualization is deeply ingrained in me. When I was an analyst, I loved figuring out different ways to represent data into visual forms. And when I teach, my go-to phrase is draw it out. I can't fully explain this one. It's more of a feeling. I have this spidey sense or intuition when a number or an answer feels off. If a student gives me an answer that's not quite correct, I can tell without even calculating. It just doesn't feel right. I think this stems from Singapore's emphasis on number bonds and number sense. After years of practicing number bonds, I have a very strong grasp of how a number is connected to other numbers. For example, when I see the number 8, I think, oh, it's related to 1, 2, 4 because they're factors of 8. I also think of all the pairs that make 8. 1 and 7, 2 and 6, 3 and 5, and 4 and 4. I know this one sounds a little bizarre, but it doesn't just come in handy when I'm checking my students' work. It's also really helpful when I'm checking a bill or figure out discounts. Our teachers used to tell us, you cannot leave a math problem blank. They're like, I want to see something written down on your paper, even if it means copying the question. I'm sure I wasn't happy about this when I was in school, but now that I'm all grown up, I really appreciate the perseverance and resilience I have towards problem solving. Internalizing this notion of, okay, not trying is not an option, means that I always make some sort of attempt at a math problem or life's problems. I'll attempt, then I review or troubleshoot and try out different strategies. If you've ever met a Singaporean or visited Singapore, you'll find that efficiency is our middle name. I've been living in the US for almost as long as I've lived in Singapore now, and efficiency is still the thing that gets me. The way to develop efficiency is actually pretty inefficient. Instead of doing 10 math problems in class, we would only do 2. But we were required to figure out 5 different strategies to solve each problem. In other words, I was taught to solve a problem in multiple ways. And because I have all these strategies in my toolbox, I can quickly filter out the most efficient one. A crucial component in Singapore's math curriculum is metacognition. I haven't touched on this in my mini-series on Singapore math yet, but I will be discussing this in the episode dropping in 2 weeks, so be sure to check it out. Simply put, metacognition is the ability to think about your thinking or monitor your own thoughts. We all had to write down our solutions and steps in math homework or tests. And when we made mistakes, our teachers would make us retrace our steps and figure out where we went wrong and why. The technical term for this process is called error analysis, and it hasn't just made me a more reflective and effective learner. It also shapes how I teach in a major way. When my student makes a mistake, I would try to follow their thought process and discern what type of mistake it is. Is it a misconception, a calculation error, a misread question? This helps me gauge where my students are in their mastery process and how I can best support them. At the same time, I walk them through my error analysis framework so that they can figure out where they went wrong when I'm not around. I don't see math as a bunch of isolated topics like algebra or geometry or fractions. Mathematics to me is a comprehensive and interconnected discipline. For example, when I think about the topic of area, I don't just think of geometry. Area is related to multiplication, division, units of measurement, perimeter, volume, etc. This has really helped me in my career as a math educator because I can easily come up with examples that include a variety of topics so that my students have opportunities to consolidate their knowledge. I can also help my students see how different topics in math can be applied together in different situations. This way, they can appreciate the value of math. So, if you're using Singapore math with your kids or thinking about it, this is a sneak peek into what it can grow into. My math education in Singapore has most definitely helped me understand math and do math well, but I think more importantly, it has also built habits of mind. My ability to visualize, persevere, reflect, and strategize, I attribute all of that to my Singapore math roots. Does anyone else have a Singapore math story to share? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories on Singapore math.